live. Grooming yourself.
Alright, so I'm live here. I'll wait a minute for everybody to filter in and just so that we can everything adjusted. Rewatch it. Oh boy, we got all kinds of people. Watching the end of the Royals game, losing again. So, Brendan, give it a minute for. Can't hear me? Can't hear me? Testing, testing, 1, 2. I don't know how to turn up the sound on my phone. Need to talk louder, perhaps, perchance? Microphone's low. Let me see if you can. It just.
I say the phone's clear away from you, so I mean it's.
Okay. So it's just need to talk loud. How about that? Is that better? Yeah, I'm just used to having my other microphone right in front of me. We're still trying to figure out the streaming computer, so I'm on my phone for right now, and it's just the. Actually, I could probably plug my microphone into my phone, but I'll have to figure out exactly how all that stuff works. But I'll just talk loud for now because I can talk loud, so I'm going to talk loud.
Yay!
So anyway, there was they just put out on the USBC website. I probably could. Just go to bull.com. It's at the top ribbon, whatever. I'm going to go ahead and read it here. But basically, they came out with an adjustment to the rule changes because they had all the rule changes that are supposed to be happening in 2020. Well, they're going to start one of those early to kind of give everybody else a little bigger window to get everything taken care of. So I'm going to go ahead and read the press release. So, after reviewing feedback from industry partners, the United States Bowling Congress Equipment Specifications Committee has revised the implementation dates for the new bowling ball specifications announced earlier this year. The Equipment and Specifications Committee determined that the specification allowing increases in static weights for bowling balls without balance holes will begin this fall to allow for a smoother transition for bowlers. Starting August 1st, 2018, so it's a month and a half away now, bowling balls weighing more than 10 pounds, which is the same thing that they were doing in the first place, will be allowed to have up to 3 ounces of static side, thumb, or finger weight, and up to 3 ounces of top or bottom weight, provided the ball does not have a balance hole. So it's the same rule, they're just implementing it earlier. However, there is a stipulation here. Bowlers can still have a bowling ball with a balance hole until August 1st, 2020, which is the same cutoff date for banning weight holes. But any balls with a balance hole must stay within the current static weight specification of 1 ounce for finger, thumb, or side weight, and 3 ounces for top or bottom weight. So it's going to be kind of a hybrid hybrid type deal for the next couple of years. If you want to drill a ball with a weight hole, you can still do that. You just still have to conform to the 1 ounce, or pretty well the current rules still apply if you decide to use a weight hole. If you decide not to use a weight hole, then they're starting the 3 ounces of side weight, top weight, thumb weight, bottom weight, whatever. They're starting the 3 ounce thing this August. So if anybody is still going to nationals here, this doesn't affect anything for nationals. The rules still apply. All the regular rules that we have right now still apply until August 1st of 2018. But basically what they're doing is they're giving you a bigger window so that you don't have to start, like if you have 20 bowling balls that have a weight hole in them, you don't have to plug all 20 of them between January 1st and August 1st in 2020. If you still want to use a weight hole for right now, you can do that all the way up until August 1st, 2020. But as of August 1st, 2018, everything is kind of kosher, so to speak. So let me read the rest of this. Specification eliminating the use of balance holes will still go into effect August 1st, 2020. After hearing from all stakeholders, the committee decided it was the right move to make the static weight specification an option starting this fall. Andrew Kane said bowlers now have a 2-year window to work with their pro shops to ensure their equipment will meet specifications on August 1st, 2020. With the elimination of balance holes as of August 1st, 2020, bowlers may have up to 5 holes for gripping purposes. All gripping holes, blah, 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 must be used. Not to use a thumb hole, still need their intended center of palm with a plus mark to indicate their grip orientation. Bowlers who do not use their thumb for delivery and decide to use the higher static weight specification cannot have a thumb hole. It would be classified a balance hole and immediately would be required to follow the specification, requiring them to mark their intended center of palm. They also decided that this is something else that people have talked about so if you use a house ball and you decide to use just 2 of the fingers, they're not going to worry about that. It just says they did decide the gripping rules that become effective will have an exception for house balls for bowlers who use house balls and might not have the strength to use all the gripping holes. So you can still no thumb a house ball and be fine with it because there's really nothing going on with those anyway. House balls are defined as balls supplied by the center where the competition is taking place, having a polyester or basic urethane cover. So this can't be like house balls where somebody has decided that they don't want their OG danger zone from 1990 something anymore and then just put it on a rack for you to use. It has to be like an official house ball, like plastic, basic urethane cover, differential, RG of less than 0.025, and the ball is not specifically drilled to fit the bowler. The dates for implementing the new specification for the oil absorption rate of bowling ball cover stocks do not change. The initial step on the oil absorption specification will begin August 1st, 2018, when bowling ball manufacturers are required to submit oil absorption data as part of the USBC bowling ball approval process. So that's still the same thing. Nothing's going to change until 2020, but they have to start sending that information in when they send a ball in to be certified or whatever. They have to send the oil absorption numbers or their data they're testing in with that ball as of August 1st, 2020. August 1st, 2018, sorry. And then the oil absorption spec will take effect August 1st, 2020, which literally affects nothing and has nothing to do with anything, but hey, they did something, so jazz hands. Let's see. However, because this is something new too. However, because all current bowling balls will be grandfathered in regardless of oil absorption rate, the Equipment Specifications Committee determined the production of balls that do not meet the oil absorption time limit must be stopped as of January 31st, 2022. As of right now, there's nothing on the market that's worse than 2 minutes and 38 seconds. So not only does nothing exceed the oil absorption limit, not only does oil absorption have absolutely nothing to do with anything. I don't know, man. Woman, sorry. I don't know. It doesn't make any difference. That didn't really make any difference. So, the new bowling ball specifications announced in April were designed to sustain the playing field both currently and in the future. So yeah, that's a big key word there is sustain. So basically that's just letting you know that they don't want anything to go any further than it is right now. That's why the oil absorption spec, they gave a little bit of a cushion there. I think that's a pretty strong statement, like I thought initially, that they want to keep it reined in here. They don't want it to get any further out of control. I don't really think it's out of control, but that's up for debate. Okay, so that's all for that. Now let me catch up on my. Yeah, Biggie. I think they're just giving people it. That's the funny thing here too, is that nobody really understands. Or I shouldn't say nobody. I'm a little bit of a tend to exaggerate on occasion, but I think they're trying to give people a chance or some time to kind of catch up with things. But you already have people. I don't know how many people I've seen saying, "Well, thanks USBC, now I can't ever use my ball again. I have to go buy all new equipment." And I'm like, "Well, why do you have to do that?" Well, my stuff has a balance hole. plug the balance hole. It's not a big deal. There's still going to be people getting around this rule by once you drill the weight hole and you change the shape of the core, even if you plug it again, the core shape's been changed. Plus, you're replacing it. Even when you go to plug it, you're still replacing the weight that came out, but it's a lighter, less dense material, and especially if you do something like a quick plug or urethane plug, um, that's that stuff's even lighter. So yeah. Arsenal, where are you from again, Arsenal? See from Mo here in the middle of the night here. What are you doing up in the middle of the night? Number one, but I'm glad you're watching though. That's heckin' cool. But that's basically the Singapore. Yeah, that's right. Never mind. It's 4:57. 4:57 in Singapore. Yeah, yeah, okay. Yeah. Yeah, okay, yeah. Connecting. 2 and 2. Okay, so I think that pretty well covers it for that. Does anybody have any questions about any of the specifications at all? It's not really going to change anything. The 3 ounces of static, it's just going to give you more time to, if you do have stuff with balance holes, you can start plugging everything and be legal this August. So you'll have basically 2 years. I never really, most of my layouts, I just go really deep on the ring finger, so I end up zeroing it out. Or not really zeroing it out. I try to target about 3/4 of an ounce positive side and 3/4 of an ounce finger, just to give me some options. But actually, no. I try to target 3/4 positive side, and I go deep with the ring finger so I can kind of cancel out finger and thumb weight. Plus, doing that increases the RG of the ball a little bit too, because you're technically making the core a little bit shorter. So I like low RG stuff anyway. So yeah. Also, World Cup. Okay. We live in the United States. I live in the United States. We don't pay much attention to soccer, so go figure, right? Yeah, the weight holes. This is something, Brandon. This is something when we get.
Make sure you're rereading their question.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I got her. Okay. For people that come later and don't see the questions here. Brandon says the weight holes do not even alter the balls too much. It's still the same bowling ball. True, it does alter. There's some other stuff that we got into that once the differential of a bowling ball gets much up over .060, it doesn't really matter that much, because even if you get it to like .080, they had a USBC. I think if you go to their video when they first announced this stuff out, they showed kind of a chart and a graph of how bowling ball performance increases, and once it got to the line would go up, and as you get more differential, you get more flare, which shortens the bow ties and technically exposes more fresh cover to the lane on every rotation. So it helps pick up oil in the front part of the lane, and also keeps from depositing it on the back end of the lane, and it also helps with grip on the back end of the lane so that you're not rolling over the same oil track over and over again. But they still, once you got past 060 anyway, it wasn't that everything kind of plateaued. Like it didn't, ball reaction didn't increase anyway. And so if you get a big 060 ball in the first place and you're trying to jump the differential up, you're not accomplishing anything really. So yeah, it does affect it. It does affect it. Motion holes are kind of a big thing. I'm kind of the thought that you just do better, just pick a better ball in the first place. I guess I can understand wanting to take like a lower differential ball, maybe like an IQ Tour. You still want the control that the core and the cover gives you, but you like a little bit more track flare. That's why I drill my IQ Tours with a 4-inch pin to get a little bit more flare, which kind of helps a little bit more with traction, helps a little bit more on the back end, so it's not quite as lazy. So I can see kind of some of the applications. But then you enter in something like the Codex that has the same cover stock, but it's kind of like a beefier, chuggier IQ Tour. So my thing is I usually just like to go for, as surface matters the most anyway. So if you get your surface right and you just put in the work or do better ball selection in the first place, I know it technically matters, but I don't like to get so much into that nonsense. I would rather just pick the best ball, get my surface dialed in, and just go for it. I guess. I mean, Biggie, and a lot of people are going to have new arsenals anyway. Yeah, everybody's whining about it now. I mean, there are some people, and it's going to affect some people. There's still people throwing 3D offsets, 3D violets, original danger zones, stuff like that. There's still people throwing that stuff that do have weight holes in the stuff, and they don't want to plug that ball, which is fine. So it does. It affects some people. I don't think it's that big of a deal, probably just because it doesn't affect me and because I go through bowling balls pretty quick anyway. I know that a lot of people normally keep balls for 2, 3, 4 years. I've got a few balls that are that old that I still throw occasionally. But at the same time, it's not, like I said, once you've already drilled the hole and the core has been altered, you're still going to have people, when they get new balls after the weight hole ban goes into effect, they're going to drill the extra hole and then they're going to plug it, because you're still going to get some kind of effect. It's not going to be as big as if you just drilled the hole and left it there, but you're still going to get some kind of effect. Now, I think it's rather negligible, and there's something in the line of work that I do. And actually, let me pull it up and read it here. The technical definition to make sure I get it right. But it's a concept called standard deviation. And basically, it's standard deviation. Let me see. Okay, that's, wow. The Wikipedia page, that is not helpful at all. I don't want to get that crazy on y'all. I mean, okay. Standard deviation in the dictionary is a quantity calculated to indicate the extent of deviation for a group or as a whole. Basically, I did a lot of standardized testing, and the testing would have, a percentage of standard deviation, which is basically how repeatable or how accurately repeatable is the test. So if you're doing a test on something, is the test going to give you the same results in the same circumstances 75% of the time, or is it going to be within 10% one side or the other? That's why generally when you're testing stuff, you test several different specimens. Like we always test for concrete and stuff, we'd always test 3 for one certain test, and then we would average the 3, because some we're going to test a little bit higher, some we're going to test a little bit lower. And so that's basically, whenever you have something that is not 100% consistent, even if you have testing procedures that are locked down as much as possible to try to be as repeatable as possible to make it as accurate as possible, there's still going to be, you're not going to get exactly the same result on every single test. And that's basically what standard deviation is how big of a swing do you have from a high test result to a low test result based on the average of all the testing. And whenever you introduce a human factor, standard deviation goes up quite a bit. If it's something you just put in a machine and you let it go, that's going to do it the same every time. But if you're relying on human judgment and human timing and human everything else, standard deviation tends to go up quite a bit. And so that's one of those things where everybody can, people like to make it mathematic, and it makes it fun. It makes it something to think about. It's something that you can get into and have some fun with and see what you can do and see what you can learn, really. It's just interesting to know stuff. But at the same time, if you have something that makes so small of a difference that you as a human cannot take advantage of the difference that doing something creates, it's really null and void. Like, it doesn't really make any difference. So I think some of this stuff kind of boils down to, or kind of amounts to, stuff that really doesn't matter because humans are not accurate enough to take advantage of it in the first place. So that's why I say I don't really like bowling math. I don't get too crazy into stuff because I mean, if I go out there and I'm playing with 5 boards that area on the lane anyway, and I've done something that's gonna give me an extra board of hook or something. If I miss in too far, that's gonna shoot me in the foot. So I mean, it is what it is on that one. Let me see what else we got here. Pretty stoked about the change, to be honest. Timothy Fan. Never been a fan of balance holes because I always like the reaction I get before drilling the balance hole on my balls. And that's kind of the funny thing too, is whenever I have to add a balance hole, generally I try to go big and shallow now, because if you don't get into the core, it's not gonna make a difference. It might make a tiny difference, but if you don't get into the core and you don't alter the core shape, that is what's going to make the difference. And so if you drill like an inch deep balance hole and you think that you're making a difference, it's not going to make a difference. So whenever I've had to add a weight hole, it just I don't like the reaction I get either way it goes. I just prefer drilling stuff and leaving it alone. Of course, I've never gotten too far into that, so
I'm gonna cut you off in 5 minutes.
that's cool. Adding the holes just takes it out of the intended purpose I wanted the ball for. A example, IQ solid flaring hooking too much, P2 hole on alpha making it less continuous for some reason. Yeah, which is the placement of the balance holes. I think that's something else that doesn't really take core shape into account. So depending on which ball it is and where the hole is at and how the core is shaped, these may or may not have the specific results that they're supposed to have, except a P4 hole on a pitch black. Interesting. Alright, I've got about 5 minutes left here. So if anybody has any more questions, that's kind of what's going on with this for now. It's not a very big change, but I think it's a good change. It's a good update or adjustment to the rules, because even just for general perception, because there's a lot of people who are freaking out about nothing, or just misinterpreting the rules, misunderstanding them, or intentionally misunderstanding them just so that they can complain about something. Hashtag bowlers. But yeah, how do you feel about switching over to Fox? I think it's a great move. Number one, because bowling is going to be on all the time, and because ESPN only ever used the PBA as a counter to football, because bowling got them their best ratings against football, and anything that goes up against football on Sunday is just not going to succeed. But it did better than any other programming that they put on there, and so that's what they used bowling for. They used it as, I can't even call it competition for the NFL. That just drew their best ratings during a Sunday afternoon when football's on. So now we're going to have, with it being on Fox, bowling's going to be all over the place. It's going to be on constantly, and obviously something that's on constantly, when other people would actually watch it. I think that's one of the things that kept it down. It's like when it came to football or bowling, like who's going to watch bowling instead, unless you can't stand football and are just really super into bowling. Most of the time, what I would do is, it's going to be on YouTube later, so I would watch football, and then I would just watch the bowling telecast on YouTube later. I think that's what actually quite a few people did. So I think it's going to be a really good thing. And I also think with the extra frame going to flow bowling or whatever that is right now, which, by the way, if you're interested in extra frame, it's only whatever it is a month. It's like $7 a month or something. So if you're interested in extra frame, they've actually made it quite a bit better. There's a lot more programming on, especially now with the PWBA. So you're going to have a bunch of PWBA stuff during the summer. You're going to have a bunch of PBA stuff during the winter. They have the senior stuff on there too. So it's really a pretty good deal. And once they go over to flow bowling, it's going to be $15 a month. So it's going to be great service. But if you get it right now, then they grandfather your price in. So if you get it now, you can lock yourself in for the $7-8 a month or whatever it is. So, yeah. I really wish bowling was more popular so I can relate to more people. Yeah. really, the Bryant Gumbel interview was mind-numbing because he obviously had no clue about bowling, and this lady was on, I think one of the college coaches was on there trying to talk to him about it, and he just wasn't getting it, and he was actually being kind of a doucher about it too, so. Possible reunion of Randy and Rob Stone is on. Hambone! Yeah, USBC, really wish USBC had decided to do something about how easy house shots have become sometime in the last 30 years. Yeah, that's probably something that's where the thing really lies more than the bowling balls, because you can make stuff really the lane man controls everything anyway. So even with urethane balls, and we went back to plastic balls, there's still some pros that would average 230 on a half shot with a freaking plastic ball with no core in it, just because they're that good. So I think lane conditions probably could be reined in, but then at the same time, people aren't as hardcore now as they used to be. I think the hardcore bowlers are more hardcore. Those that aren't just really want to go out and they want to shoot 700 every week, the once a week that they get to go out. It's a scheduled thing, and so some people use it for just really hardcore reaction because they're hardcore reaction. God, I don't even know what I'm trying to say. That would just pulled out the exact wrong word for that. They're just going for hardcore recreation. That's what they're going for. They're just going for recreation. And so that's the one time. Bowling is a great thing for that too, because if you don't get out of the house much, then it's a scheduled time every single week, and you have to pay even if you're not there. So it's kind of something that I think a lot of people use just to force them to get out of the house, because it's like, well, we have bowling tonight, so we can't plan anything. We have bowling tonight, so that's just what people do it for. So I think that a lot of people try to get into a recreational environment and try to make it a little bit more hardcore. I think that they have gotten even a little too easy, but that's really relative because the average is something like 170. So even though it seems like everybody's scoring like crazy, they really aren't. It's kind of a weird perception thing. Yeah, modern lane machines are a big deal with it too, because they can replicate everything exactly. When they used to use the bug sprayers and the mops, you had something different every single week. So you just had to show up and bowl on whatever you had. If it was easy one week, cool. If it was hard one week, cool, because everybody went through it. So,
All right, wrap it up.
alright. Just because the house is sanctioned does not mean the league is, and that's another can of worms too that they're hopefully fixing with all the topography stuff. So, switch lanes. I would imagine that have you heard of switch lanes before? They have them only mostly in Singapore and Bahrain. They make some house shots feel like sports shots. Literally, I think probably has something to do with topography. I know that at Kegel they have a series of pistons and stuff underneath to where they can alter the topography of the lanes. So no, I have not heard of switch lanes before. I might have to check that out. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up for now. I know a couple things to remember. The Intensifier and the Matchup Black Pearl came out yesterday. I have videos up on those. If you haven't seen those before, check those out. There's a couple great balls. I was stunned by the Matchup Black Pearl, really. And the Intensifier is oddly easy down the lane and oddly strong at the break point. It's one of those really weird balls that you kind of have to get used to, because it's easy, it gets down the lane, you feel like you have to hit it, and then all of a sudden it turns sideways on the back end. So it's just a crazy ball. Both of them are pretty good. And then Bull Expo starts next Monday, I think. Let's see, what's today, the 16th? Bull Expo starts next Tuesday, the 19th. And it goes through the 21st. And they will have the new announcements for the Roto Grip balls. So that's what I got for now. That's the rule update. The rule changes. Go to, like I said, bull.com if you want to read the entire press release. I think I took care of it, though. Good decision. But thanks, everybody, for showing up. And if you have any more questions, just leave comments down here later. Thank you, guys. And we'll see you later. Bye.